Da, da, theme song. Da.
Hi. Welcome back to A Thousand Eyes in One and our book club, Wine on an Empty Stomach. Today, we're talking Anansi Boys with our friend Anastasia, who you should remember from The Ocean at the End of the Lake. To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One. If you're interested in our Speculative Fiction Book Club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.
Yes.
All things Neil all day.
Always. What's funny is that I just finished rereading that.
Anansi Boys?
Ocean at the End of the Lane.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
and Anansi Boys, of course, I had to touch a little bit because I knew we're going to be talking about it. But yeah.
It's I sometimes I text Tanya about things that I've read that I assume or have already been made for the screen, and they're not. It's just my wishful thinking. And Ocean at the End of the Lane is one of them. Like I would love to see that as a limited series.
But you know, they're slowly making their way through all of his books, so I'm quite confident that we will get there eventually. We're just not quite there yet.
That would be a really good series.
It really would.
Yeah,
Anansi Boys is supposed to be in development, but I've never heard anything about it after it was first announced.
It might take some time.
Yeah, and I have to say that too. Usually when we do hear his, because look at how long it took us to get what we did get so far. I feel like there's usually a lot of time because he wants to be heavily involved.
Exactly.
And he wants to preserve, you know, the level of work to a certain level. So it, you know, it gives me hope.
Yeah, he's not abandoning it to D&D type people.
Ugh. Yeah. I hope every writer has learned from that, because
moment of silence.
Although I will say that I did watch to soothe my anxiety a couple weeks ago. I watched Battles from Game of Thrones. I watched Battle of the Bastards. I watched Hard Home, and I watched the Spoils of War and Blackwater. It was next up, and it made me so happy. So
yeah, they were definitely good at adapting what was already written. I won't take that from them.
No,
but when it came to actually writing, garbage.
They should have left the writing to the writers.
They should have left a lot to a lot of people. Anywho, we're here. I'm Nikki. Hi. It's Wine on an Empty Stomach. We're back. Guinness, because Guinness is good.
I'm drinking red wine because wine on an empty stomach, but my stomach's not empty.
Mine isn't either.
I am being very responsible with water.
Wow.
I'm no fun this time around. Just water.
It's fine.
Good. You're our good role model. So question for both of you. Did you grow up with Anansi stories?
Nope.
Yes.
Okay. I did too.
I did. It was huge for me. I don't know if it was just my family. I mean, ironically, I was talking about like also Aesop's fables this morning. It was kind of that, you know, we always referred to those kinds of stories. We did have the fairy tales, like, you know, Beauty and the Beast, like the Disney stuff, but that was really our bread and butter. You know, they were like, no, babes, you're going to learn the lesson a little faster than you watch Cinderella 10 times. You're going to get it the second time, and we're going to move on.
So I didn't get any of the Disney stuff. I didn't watch. There were a few that I saw. Like I saw Aladdin after it came to VHS. I never saw any of the Disney princess movies in the theater. I didn't watch The Little Mermaid until maybe 7 years ago, whenever it was that Disney Plus came out. But I did grow up on Aesop's fables and Anansi stories and a lot of Bible stories. I wish I still had I have one Anansi book here that I read to my son sometimes, but all of the Anansi books that I had when I was little, I have no idea where they are, and I wish I could find them because they're from like the 80s.
Yeah, no, I had zero experience with it. because so we used to get the Disney movies because my mom would buy them because we didn't have like we lived in Germany and it was the 80s, and so there was like one channel. Um and so we would like watch VHS tapes like incessantly just over and over and over and over again. So we had lots of Disney. But because I was a reader too, like Aesop's Tales, because I was in Germany, Grimm's Fairy Tales, Hans Christian
Friends,
Andersen,
yes.
Yeah.
and then lots of mythology. So I had no exposure to Anansi. I'm trying to think. I don't think that I've ever heard like any St. Lucian person I know mention them. Like not in my family. Maybe others do. Um, and that'll be an interesting. I'm gonna ask my grandma. But yeah, so it was my first exposure. I think was when I read American. Like I'd heard, tell of like this god, but my first real exposure was when I read American Gods because I wanted to make sure I read that before I read this.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I think in the Caribbean, it's Brer Anansi, like, that's how
Yeah.
they, refer to it,
Mhm.
and, like, it's very interesting because I never really thought about whether or not it was, like, a Caribbean-wide thing, and now I'm thinking, because 'cause I'm wondering if that's coming from, like, the British colonial, you know,
Hmm.
I don't
preservation
know,
of
because
things.
I definitely learned about it in the Caribbean as well.
Mhm.
I mainly because so whenever we visited Jamaica, if school was in session, we had to go to school. We just that's just the way it was. I was never, like, officially enrolled in any school,
But
but
you were going.
yeah, even if it was summer vacation, if it wasn't summer vacation for them yet, we had to go to school. And so that's where I got the books and
Hmm.
heard a lot of the stories was from those teachers. And sometimes my great grandma would tell stories. Um, how old people like to tell
Yeah,
stories. So she would tell us there was one in particular about him at like a funeral stealing all of the peas and hiding them in his hat, and then it burns all the hair off his head, and that's why Nancy's bald.
yeah, but
Like that's like the condensed version. So like the
yes,
Anansi stories, it's like a ton of those, which they do have
Yeah.
a few in Anansi Boys that I really appreciated that he threw in a few of
Hmm.
his tricks so that you can get an idea of who Anansi is.
Yeah.
And you know the tricks he pulled on Fat Charlie, the fact that he died at karaoke pulling down some woman's shirt, like
yeah.
I thought that Neil Gaiman captured the spirit of Anansi really well in this.
Hmm.
I did too because
Hmm.
I was nervous coming from the background of knowing the stories on whether or not because the book that I had just finished reading before this for him was Neverwhere. So,
That's my next book.
yeah,
That's the
so that
first one I read from him.
me too, and I fell in love. So it was such a very serious book that kind of at the end stunned me a little bit because I was like, "Wait." You kinda have that feeling of like 100 Years of Solitude where when everything catches up to you, you're like, "Oh, damn." You're like, "Oh, damn, like, I can't
I love
believe that's where we ended up." So, when he had announced this one, I was like, "Ooh, buddy, I love you, but I don't know if you'll be able to capture that playfulness, but
Mhm.
also that, that lilts into seriousness when it's time to learn that lesson and figure out, like, what's actually going on." But I think he did a really, really good job of capturing it, and I was like, "Okay, Neil, okay."
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also worried that it would be like a Stephen King kind of
Oh,
situation. He's
yeah.
notoriously bad at writing Black people. Like
Yeah.
it's a thing. And I love Stephen King, but like just no, don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
touch those
I,
people. Hey.
what's interesting is I read, I watched Neil Gaiman's Masterclass, a series,
Mhm.
and, he was talking about Anansi Boys and American Gods and just, like, feeling like, "Oh my god, how am I gonna write, like, America? Like, I'm not from there. I moved here and I like it now." But he, like, treats America just, like, as a mythical place, period.
Mhm.
Which makes it super fun, and it's cool that you mentioned Gabriel Garcia Marquez because, like,
Mhm.
Neil Gaiman also, like, really well, like, dips into magical realism,
Yes.
like, "Oh, for a second, like, I'm here doing this, but now the spider is gonna go call my brother for me," like,
Right.
I thought I was very much grounded until this fantastical thing happens, and he does it so well. Ugh.
Yeah, and to pick up on that, I think he switches in between it a lot. I think for me, reading 100 Years of Solitude, I mean, I was younger also at the time, but it was a lot, you know? It's like, "Hey, I
It's a
really have
big
to focus my mind on your literary masterpiece. Like,
yeah.
you're a genius and I know it, and I
Yeah.
have to take my time getting there." But I
Mhm.
feel with this, there is no real barrier to it,
Yeah.
and the magical realism becomes so normal after, I don't know, man showed up and was doing meetings at his job as him. It's like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like you're mixing something so ridiculous with something so mundane. Like, why are you pretending
Mhm.
to be him and going to work? Why would you go to work? You
Right.
know what
Yeah.
I mean? But
Yeah.
Why not
it,
pretend
Yeah.
to
it
be him and
worked.
call in sick?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like go for a night on the town. It's like, no, I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna do all of the normal things. Haha, little do they know. And
Yeah,
you
and
get
I
to have this inside joke with him as well, which I really did
mhm.
appreciate.
That's
I
really I
think
think that was super funny because when he first shows up, Neil's like, it seemed like he'd never really been in a kitchen before, you know? Or he'd never been in an office before. All these things that are like first times for him. So he's just having a grand old time, like, like cosplaying as his brother, cosplaying
I
as a human,
the first
a
moment for
mortal rather.
me, well, I guess it's the first moment that we see Spider do magic because in Charlie's dream, Spider's doing magic. He doesn't realize he's actually seeing Spider. He thinks it's a
Yeah.
dream. So we, the reader, think it's a dream too, where he has everyone at the party walk on water.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then when he shows up to Charlie's apartment and Charlie has the picture and
Yeah.
he doesn't believe that his father has died. So he steps into the picture and
Mhm. I love that
Charlie's
line. I
just
like
sitting there
just
like,
listen to
what?
that. He's like, I don't he couldn't remember if the picture got bigger or if Spider got smaller, but
Smaller,
all the
yeah.
Yeah.
same, he went into the picture.
Yeah. I listened to the audiobook most recently, and it's read by Lenny Henry, who I'm Googling him now. I'm not
Mhm.
particularly familiar with him, but I did think he did a great job um,
Yeah. Yeah.
switching. I wonder if he's English. I'm looking him up. Let's see.
To see if he's English, Jamaican or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he did a really good job switching accents
I was nervous
and
about that.
yeah.
I'll be honest, that's why I didn't even bother. I saw it was a Neil, and I was like, not that I would want him to read this, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm good. So that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the
Oh,
cool thing
yes,
about
he's
Neil Gaiman
Jamaican.
he's Jamaican? Okay, because when I was,
Beautiful.
like, bracing myself for that first accent change, and then I heard, I was like,
He
"Oh."
does a
And then
great
as he
he
goes
actually
it
does a
throughout the
great
rest of
job.
the rest of the characters, I was like, "No, this is somebody, like, he knows.
Oh, I
He
should
is
have
in it."
known he was Jamaican. His name is Lenworth George
Oh,
Henry.
well, there
Lenworth,
you go.
yeah, that's a Jamaican gentleman.
He is a
Mhm.
Jamaican gentleman.
Mhm.
Because so before this, I was listening to How to Love a Jamaican. I don't know if this is a collection of
Yes.
short stories.
Yes.
It's awful to listen to.
Is it
Oof.
required reading for your marriage?
Not the audiobook. Definitely not the audiobook. The accents are just really bad to the point where it feels like people didn't even Google pronunciations, you know?
Mm, that's
And I
terrible.
much rather they just not
Mhm.
until they
Yeah.
do find people. I do get, it's an accessibility issue. You want all formats to be released at the same time, but baby, please, no. No.
Yeah, like, because 'cause they're out there. There's Caribbean voice
Yeah.
actors out there. And, like, I'll take a Saint Lucian doing a Jamaican accent if it
I'm
comes
fine with
down to
yeah.
that,
Give me a
you
Yeah.
know?
diaspora accent at least.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, like, there's this show, Rasta Mouse that my kids watch,
What?
and it's a goofy show. It's actually kinda cool because it's, like, Rasta Mouse is very much like, anti-jail. He
Mm.
solves crimes and it's like he looks for like restitution and then like helps the criminal make their life better so that they won't commit
Okay.
crimes anymore. Yeah, it's really great. But none of the voice actors are Jamaican. I
Mm.
think all of them are like Ghanaian English, but they
Mm,
do a better Jamaican accent than I've ever heard from,
yeah.
you know, most Americans, you know, a lot
I
of
Luke
English.
Cage season 2, I rest my
oof.
case.
Oh,
Please. We were repressing. We were
Oh,
repressing.
I thought
If
I
we're gonna
erased
bring up
it.
GOT fails, we gotta bring up.
Yeah.
I think whenever I hear American shows or productions do Jamaican accents, it's almost like they didn't even take the time just to put into YouTube Jamaican, just any Jamaican video.
Yeah.
Right.
And you would see that because it
Hmm.
sounds nothing like, but it also sounds nothing like anything else. It's not like, oh, you were trying for Jamaica and then you ended up in like a Trini Bayesian or it's kind of Guyanese. No, it's
No.
the most ridiculous
Like,
sounding
I
thing
would I would
ever.
forgive them if they start trying to go for Jamaican and ended up Irish. Like, that
But
would
no,
be
but
the
that's the
only thing
thing.
that'd
I
be like,
hate it when
okay.
they sound Irish because people always say that Jamaicans sound Irish and they don't sound Irish to me like at
I can
all.
see why, yeah.
They just don't sound Irish to me. And so it always sounds like they found like the one Nigerian in Ireland and then just use that accent. You know what I mean? Like that's how it always sounds to me.
Hey, AK.
Hey, AK.
Um, I was gonna say something
So
about,
yes, I get
oh,
and
you
I
know what? It's like, I
uh
was gonna say it's really annoying to me too because, Anastasia used to say I'm, like, learning guitar, and, like, I was like, "Oh, yeah, Bob Marley songs," and anytime, like, it's, like, a white guy with a guitar, and I'm like, "You better not fucking do it." And if he starts to do the accent, I don't care how good his other tutorials are. He gets banned from me since, after
oh my
that because
god.
I'm like, "Why? You could sing No Woman No Cry without faking the accent."
Yeah.
It's so bad. Well, Lenny Henry does an excellent job with Anansi's accents, with the old ladies,
Mm.
with Fat Charlie, like switching between even his American accent. Sometimes he did slip up and get a little bit English when he
Mm.
was doing Spider's American
Mhm.
accent. Like he had
Mhm.
moments,
Yeah.
but overall, he did a really great job switching accents, I thought. And
I want
so it was
Spider
a
to
really
whisper
good
things to
listen.
me at nighttime.
Spy his Graham Coates accent
I'm
was
like, I don't
fantastic.
know. You must really just need, I don't know, a good 10 years of chaos in your life if you're considering having Spider whisper sweet
Oh, I
nothings
don't
into
say I
your
want him
ear.
to stay, I just want him to, like, read me stories before I go to sleep.
But we see
He
that
won't
he
just do
we see
that.
that he will stay. Yeah, he
He'll
will stay.
if he
He
likes your life
will.
enough and finds it interesting enough, he'll stay.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Charlie
as
didn't
long
even
as he
have an
feeds a
interesting
cat and
life.
goes to work. You're like, "That's fine, I'll go to Phoenix." What was I gonna say? Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say about that.
Well, I'll just say last thing about audiobook is that I recommend it.
Yeah, it
It's
was
a
really
really
good. I
good
was listening to
audiobook.
it before we started, you
Except
just
there's
kinda
this
just let it
weird
play. Graham
music
Coates.
in between sections. This weird like
Really?
African drumming that I was
Oh, I
like
don't have that.
yeah, the version I have, the first time I listened to it, it didn't have that when I checked it out at the library, but the version
Mhm.
that I bought has like this weird music that like
Ugh.
throws me off, which
The
I
only thing
regret.
that throws me off about the version that I have, it goes, "Disc 3," and then it
Yeah,
starts talking.
the ones at the library, it's like disc
Mhm.
1. Yeah, but the updated version has like music in between
Yeah,
Mm.
those
yeah.
breaks and it's I don't know,
I
it's
gotta
not
s
good music.
I gotta say, as far as villains go, I did enjoy Graham Coates. His cliches annoyed
Absolutely.
me so much. He reminded me of one of my sister's ex-boyfriends that I used to call Captain Catchphrase because there's nothing original that used to come out of his mouth. And it felt very much like that. I don't care, come for me. It's true. But he was just like, just to watch him kind of become the villain that he always like secretly wanted to be. Like he's like, oh, he's killing this. He wondered if he'd get a chance to do it again, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a
And I like
terrible
that they
human.
don't I like that they don't sugarcoat it too. Like they really do give us that like back end view of like, hey, yeah, no, the terrible is escalating and
Hmm.
he's not going to feel bad about it. However you feel about his impact on the story, he's simply not going to feel that way.
Like he
So,
has no redeeming
yeah.
qualities.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
No, he's just a
Mm-mm.
bad person, like all around. Um, I love Spider's crazy ass a lot. I will say we of course have like the whole problematic Rosie's kind of a victim that,
Of her
Spider
mother
of Spider.
and
She's
her
sleeping
mother.
with him after saving herself for marriage,
Let's talk about
thinking
that.
that he's Charlie.
Let's talk
Like
about that. let's talk about this coin jar and just like so. I was gonna say it's not as if we don't ever do TMI here. Once upon a time, I was abstinent for a year because I wanted to focus on just like school and just not boy stuff or girl stuff or whatever, right? So I was abstinent for a year, and then I started. I started dating this guy who made it. He didn't make it hard, but it was hard for me. And so when Rosie like that first kiss, I was just like, oh, this is trouble.
Yeah.
Like she wouldn't even let Fat Charlie come into the bathroom until it was like to get rid of the spider, right? And I'm just like, come on, man, give him the buns. Like never ever.
Well, spider. I
Oh,
was
that
surprised
devastating
that,
moment where Fat Charlie sees him outside, like the
and
silhouettes.
she thinks she hears an animal howling outside.
Yeah. That was really sad. And I'm just like, I hate that I had to go there. I do.
Oh, it was
It
Wonder
is,
Woman,
What?
1984, tricking
yeah,
tricking the person
Oh my
into.
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I don't necessarily like, that's not a trope I like in the body doubling, because I'm just like, it's got to be like a skeezy like feeling, and
Mhm,
then you're not human, you're not processing it the same way as I am, and you're not giving thought to it, but like,
mhm,
yeah, you're absolutely just ruining this, not this thing just for your brother, but for this person that you don't know, and you're just going to affect their life, and you're going to move on, like it's just a Tuesday for you. It could have been
mhm.
anybody, like
It's
Yeah.
just a
the girl
Tuesday.
itself doesn't even matter, it could have been
Yeah,
Right.
anyone.
I mean, yeah,
I,
Spider even says like he has a woman until he's tired of her and just moves
yeah.
on to another one.
except he didn't.
Right. And then Rosie, after she finds out that that's not Charlie, she realizes she never loved Charlie and is in love with Spider. And then
Yeah.
then my heart broke for Charlie because I was like, damn.
My heart
Yeah,
didn't
I was
break for
there like, girl,
Charlie.
what you doing?
I
Charlie
felt
had his
like
own
they were.
issues as well. I feel
Yeah,
like
I felt that they were supposed so casual about their romance that I was just like not at all happy, not at all sad to see it fall apart. I was
yeah.
like, okay, y'all should have just been friends. Y'all went through the
Yeah,
motions because that was the next stage of life.
Mhm.
exactly. I was gonna say if it definitely felt like a relationship where it's like, okay, we've been dating for a year, now it's time to be engaged.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
she says over and over, like she largely was engaged to Charlie because it annoyed her mother,
Yeah.
you
Which
know.
is not a good reason to be engaged at
Not a good
all.
reason to be
Not at all.
engaged. And I think
Um,
like I was I was it was like a study or something or that I read and it was like or article or whatever about a study where they were saying that couples that live together for like a really long time when they'd get married and then very quickly divorce, and it was asking like, well, why is that? And I always thought it's because those specific couples probably got married because it felt like the next step,
Mhm. And
you
then
know?
nothing changed when they got
Yeah.
married. Yeah.
And then they realized, why did I do this?
Mhm.
Like the
could have
next step
just.
was actually breaking up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was
Or
at a
just living
dinner.
happily unmarried, you know?
I was at a dinner
Yeah.
Friday night talking about how much I support divorce, and everyone thought I was crazy. But like
No,
I've talked
definitely.
about it a bunch,
Don't
and
worry,
I'm
be
married.
happy.
I'm married. I love my husband. We're happy. But like I fully support people getting divorced, and I fully support people breaking up, no matter how long they've been together.
Yeah.
And in the case of Charlie and Rosie,
Rosie, they definitely
they
needed to break up.
they
I just
needed to break
hated the
up.
way it happened,
Yeah, yeah,
General principle, it was messy. It was
very
messy.
messy.
Spider didn't have to do that. But in general, yeah, they both needed to go their own ways.
Like they said, they could have just been friends and it would have been cool.
Mhm.
Right.
They could have
And
just been
Spider
buddies who hang
falling in
out.
love with her, of course, was crazy because when is Spider
Hello.
in love? Hey, fandom.
But of
When is
course, he
Spider
fell
in
in
love?
love. Of course.
The god falls in love with the mortal. Love. You know who Spider reminds me of?
Mm.
Like when Fat Charlie opens the door to his storage closet and then suddenly it's all pimped out. He reminds me of Semi from Coming to America. When he
Yes.
gets all the money, he's just in the room. He's
Yeah.
like, he said to like jazz the place up a little bit.
What did you say, Anastasia? Oh,
Oh,
I
you're
can't hear
muted.
you.
Accidental mute. I said that
No.
was such a good show.
Oh,
Well, at least I could vouch for the first season. It was really great.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Rosie's mother?
I love all of Fat Charlie's thoughts and like comments about Rosie's mother. I thought they were excellent. Where he was like talking about how she doesn't eat and she just leaves dried husks behind her of like people.
He was
Just
fed
like
up.
it was everything he said about her was so funny.
Yeah,
So funny.
I
Because
particularly liked how horrified he was when he realized she was about to smile.
yes, you know who she like in my head I keep picturing her as a black Isma from The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh yeah,
I was just like, oh my god, she's got all the same characteristics.
yeah, that's
Uh,
funny.
yeah, no, she was a character, which I appreciated because I know women like that.
I have an
Yeah.
aunt kind of like that. She told me at my bridal shower, like, it's not too late to not get married.
I mean, you know what? I support love, but I also understand it because she's like, baby, you don't have to be here unless you really want to be.
She's like, it's
Make
not
sure
too
you really
late.
want to be.
I'm
Yeah.
like, ma'am, it's
Mhm.
in 2 weeks. She bought me a mini wedding cake and put it on the table and then was like, you don't have to do this. She's like, you can just have babies. You don't have to marry him if you don't want to. And I was like, no, it's cool. It's cool.
I love that. I feel like people should be more honest about that kind of
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What's our cute little detective's name?
Daisy.
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 I like Daisy. I
I
like
like
Daisy from the
Daisy
start.
too.
Yeah.
She was a little bit crazy. Crazy Daisy.
Crazy
Yeah.
Daisy. Gotta be.
I liked it though. Because,
She was
I feel like a normal person at somebody's house for the first time wouldn't just be walking around in their underwear and just, introducing themselves to the old woman at the door, like, oh, hey, what's up? In their drawers, just casual.
She had the right amount of ridiculous for the situation, and it worked.
I may or
Well,
may not have ever done that. Next question, Your Honor. Yeah, she reminded me of like a smart version of the detective constable from Good Omens, the second season. I forgot her
oh,
name.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like if she was
I have to
smart
watch
and
that.
the
ambitious.
angel.
Mm-hmm.
The angel who was pretending to be a detective constable and just kind of didn't know how to pretend to be human or how to pretend to be a police.
Yeah, so she was adorable. Um, yeah, Daisy was crazy. Daisy I liked. Like when they had that kiss, I was like, oh no, it's over. It's over. She's coming back. She's coming back. So that I felt like I was prepared for Fat Charlie. I think it's because their relationship was just so lukewarm to me. It felt like more like they were roommates than
Mhm.
anything else.
Mhm.
After she takes the shower, he's like she kissed him a lingering kiss on the cheek. I'm like, what the fuck is a lingering kiss on the cheek? Don't stay on my cheek that long. Like,
Yeah,
no.
just holding it there for
What
like
is that?
35.
Like forehead kiss, maybe, but on the cheek, don't give me a lingering kiss. What is that?
Yeah, it was
Ooh,
very
I had
chill.
to fight all my impulses to say what else I wanted to right after that.
Let those intrusive thoughts win.
We're fighting today.
I really
Ah.
I loved the old ladies in Florida.
Mhm.
The witches.
Dunwoody.
They were basically
Yes.
witches.
I love their little
And
puppet.
I really loved how they weren't witchy at all. Like
Mhm.
like for instance, they needed black candles and she got like penguin candles
Yeah.
because it was the closest she could get to black candles. And they
Mhm.
needed, I forgot what herb, and Mrs. Higgler got like an Italian blend because she
Yeah.
just like,
She's like,
well,
"It's
whenever I
they're
need
all
that
in
kind of
there."
herb, I just get like the blend.
Mhm.
I thought that was really fun, and that's kind of how I imagine like old lady witches.
That's like, I mean, not that my family's old lady witches, but it's like it's stuff like we they talk about stuff like that. We're like, oh well, this is like we're living in the real world, but when you come in like walking backwards because this and this and that, or light this type of
Yeah.
candle, or take a bath in this type of soap, it's just casual. It's just part of the fabric of the culture, and you don't even think twice about it. You're just like, oh, okay, I'll just bathe in coffee and coconut water because that's what they said.
No, there's definitely things that, like, to me, I'm like, okay, it's whatever. But like, like I don't have my own personal OBMN. My mom did for a while. Hopefully she never
Mm.
watches this and tell her business, but she had an OBMN for a while she talked to. But like there were things like when like I had my children christened, even though I don't go to church.
Mm,
I
mm,
had both
mm,
of them christened anyway.
mm.
And before they were christened, they both had to wear a red string to ward off
Still
evil.
ain't
Even though
gonna be
it,
the
like I just had to do
same.
it. And I remember when my husband's grandma passed away and my son came with us to the funeral, which, Jamaicans don't really bring babies to funerals.
Yeah.
And I had a red string tied at his ankle so that I could hide it in his sock so that nobody would ask me why. But like I felt compelled to do it. Like I
Yeah.
had to do it. Like there was no way I was bringing him into a cemetery without that red string.
Exactly.
And it's like, I'm well educated, I'm well read, but like
Mhm. Some
that
things you
red
just
string
don't
wasn't
fuck
going
with.
anywhere.
Yeah,
I'm saying my
yeah,
grandmama did it, my mama did it, and I'ma do it. That's just what
Exactly.
it
yeah.
is.
I don't know if we have
Yeah.
something like that, but it's just like those little things that you care because, you just feel protected. Even if it's just to make me feel protected, then I'm gonna
Exactly.
do it. When you said Obeah the Sparrow song came into my head and now it's stuck.
Sing it.
Melda, oh, you making wedding plans. I won't go. We'll keep that. Look it up. It's amazing.
But yeah, like there were a lot of like cultural things that when you dig deep derives from the religions that our ancestors brought to the islands
And the ones they were forced
to abandon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And a lot of it
And buy
gets kind
into,
of
yeah.
blended with Christianity. At
Yeah.
least I know in my family, a lot of it gets blended with Christianity, and they call themselves like these hardcore Christians, but then there are things that they do,
Salt in all your window, every opening to the
Yep,
house.
salt. Yes, exactly. You put salt in the doorway. Like when I moved into my apartment, my mom was like, "Make sure you put salt in the doorway." Um, when I was getting married,
Sorry.
what?
I was gonna be like, I guess you haven't done that because
Yes, because she's still. Yes, my
he
apartment
still
is
comes.
haunted. We talk
Oh
about this
Oh,
like
no.
I'm not
almost
even
every
talking
stream.
about her. I'm talking about the
Oh,
vampire who comes in and out. Um,
oh yeah.
yeah, she's not a vampire. She's a different thing, but
Well, she
okay.
was invited in, so
Yeah,
she's she still
here
comes.
to stay.
It's a bad vibe lady who tends to my son. She
Yeah.
just has
Mm.
bad vibes. And then I also have a ghost in my apartment who like plays with my kids, and it's very weird.
Yeah.
What was I about to say? You made me lose my train of thought.
I'm sorry. I just rewind the YouTube.
I'm
Something
gonna remind you too.
something about abandoning things and cultures and
Yeah.
religions and still believing in those
Oh,
things. Yeah.
yeah. So I was gonna say, like, I was forced to go to church every Sunday without fail. I was baptized, I was in youth group, I was in everything that the church does, I was involved in
Same.
it. And yet, when someone was pregnant, my mom would put a wedding ring on a string and dip it
Oh
in the water,
yeah.
let it spin so that they can find out
Mhm.
the gender of the child.
Yeah.
When her half sister was pregnant, she was bathed in like these herbs, and the baby was premature, and they put like these herbs in the baby's hair, and you know what I mean? Like all these
Mhm.
things that get held onto and passed down. So seeing my point, like so wild diversion, but my point was seeing these old ladies doing these things, but with the materials they have on hand in South Florida, which is penguin candles instead of like some type of
Hey,
black
Peter.
candles, and Italian blend instead of like whatever herbs, and like even the four earths, she just
Yeah.
got like some different colored dirt because
Yeah.
who's going out? Like I'm 86 years old. I'm not going to four corners of the world to get four
To get
earths. Like
that. Yeah.
here's some
Mm-mm.
dirt from my garden, here's some sand, here's some clay.
Mhm. Yeah. Peter, I had the same thing when I moved into my apartment. Um, like before I brought the cat here. And I think I was here a few days and just like at night, I just feel like a little animal had walked in. Not like a person, it was like a little animal spirit just came into my room and I was just like, oh. Hmm. I think it's time to bring that cat over here. But I still, every once in a while, I'll still feel it. So yeah, I like
I
animal
have an old
spirits.
woman spirit in my apartment, and she
Mm,
loves my
As long as
children.
she's friendly, yeah, as long as
she
she's
She
is
loves my
friendly.
friendly.
children, and they love her. And it's very creepy because there are times where I'll hear like, when my older son is at school and the baby's home, I'll hear him laughing hysterically. Like there was one night I thought they were playing, and I'm like, they're supposed to be in bed. And he's laughing hysterically and playing with the blanket. And I go in there and like the old one was just dead asleep. So I'm like, who are you playing with? And then I'm like, ah, shit, she's back.
At least she's free.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think for me, what I did like about the old ladies is that they were also very, maternal in a way that no
Mhm.
one would argue with them either. In a way
Mm-hmm.
that all of our like grandmas and like the
Mm-hmm.
elder women in our family, you go
Yeah,
over and
Matriarchy.
they just railroad you. Like whatever you're saying, they're like, no, baby, this is what we're gonna do, and they
yeah,
just
Mm-hmm.
kind of
And by the
take
way, eat all of
over
this
and
food.
fix
yes,
everything. Yes,
right,
definitely eat this food. But they have their way of fixing things and they want to fix it for you. And y'all may not have the same idea of fixing things, but it's gonna work out in the it's gonna
right.
work
It's
out in
like,
the end.
yes,
They're
grandma,
always
I'm gonna
right.
eat the turkey you made, and I'm also gonna let you anoint me with this olive oil you bought at
Yeah.
Publix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been blessed.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's anointing oil now. Yeah, I loved how did it take you a while to figure out that Charlie and Spider were the same person
It did.
originally?
It did. Yeah, it did for a second. I can't remember when I realized it. I think it was something about the mirror picture where he was
Mhm.
going back, they were going back and forth. And I was like, oh, wait, this is just like they ripped the troublesome out of him.
Mhm.
you
Mm,
know, they ripped out his chaos spread and was like, all right, no, you can't come back here. And when I realized that, it became all the more interesting.
mm.
Whew. I
I
mean,
expected them to look alike.
mm,
Although when I
Yeah.
picture them, even though like Rosie even says like you guys don't look alike, and once people realize he's not Charlie, they don't think he looks like, in my mind, because they're not even the same height, but in my mind they look identical, except Spider is in better shape and dresses better
mm,
and
Yeah.
is all things that Charlie could have been if he had followed a
Exactly.
different path.
yeah.
That's definitely also how I see it, that sort of Spider is like that exaltation, like everything that he had wanted to be, had hoped to be, even at work, like the things that, he wished, like how he wished people would receive him
Mhm.
is what,
Mm.
Spider was. It I think I took it as a joke. I was like, it would really be funny if they were the same. Okay. Because I was like, oh, I don't like that. Because Neil can't
Ah,
help himself. Mr. Gaiman, he can't help himself.
I love him. I love his voice so much. And when I say his voice, that's just like everything that you like, that you're reading Neil Gaiman when you're reading Neil Gaiman. Like
Yes.
that's the kind of identity I
Yeah.
aspire to as a writer. Like that it's me.
One of my favorite parts of the story is when Charlie does finally go to that like spirit god world,
Oh, I love that place.
Mhm.
and everyone is pissed off at Anansi. So no one wants to help him, especially
Yeah.
Tiger.
Yeah.
Especially.
Nobody wants to help
Hey
him until he
Jake.
finally gets this bird woman, which I meant to look up what goddess that is, and I forgot to do it. I'm just gonna start Googling.
Mhm.
Um,
She's scary.
she was terrifying, and I'm already kind of afraid of birds in
I was
general.
gonna say, I was like, she makes me understand why people would be afraid of birds.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
find her scary. I found her like really like alluring.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
that's
she
why I'm like, it's
terrified
so
me.
fascinating.
Yeah, because for me, it's just like she's someone who I'm not really sure what her motive is, but
Mhm.
also like I don't know to see that like you know what it is when he's in jail and he walks outside and all of those birds are
Mhm.
sitting there
Yeah.
and even the officers like, oh shit, no, come inside.
Yeah.
I love that it was like it wasn't something that was in his head that other people could see it too. That I thought
Yeah.
was really clutch.
When she said that she wanted Anansi's bloodline, I thought he was so stupid for being like, well, they did say to make a trade, so
Yeah.
okay.
Very
Like,
yeah, I
sir,
thought
you
it was
didn't
gonna
think
be
this through.
smarter than that.
I thought he was going to be smarter than that too, but he was very desperate to get rid of Spider, I guess, at that point. There's so many things that reading it and listening to it, I visualize, and I cannot wait for it to be a show. Like, I really hope that they're able to follow through and really create a show, because the moment when Spider decides to confess to Rosie what he's been up to,
Mm,
and she's acting weird, and then suddenly her mouth opens and it opens too wide, and then birds just start coming out. Like, I would love, I
Mhm.
want to see that so bad, because the way it looks in
Yeah.
my mind is so cool.
There's so many things I want to see and so many things I just don't. Like,
yeah,
I
some
don't
of
I
know
them
how
are
don't
we're
want
really
to.
gonna deal with the
terrifying.
I
arachnophobia.
was gonna say, yeah, I have Nikki and I both have arachnophobia. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with the spiders all showing up to help Spider.
I hope they I
Exactly.
just
Like, that scene was so wild, especially since the whole thing was like, "Yeah, give me my tongue back." Like,
Yeah.
the situation is so ridiculous. But, I mean, at least they came through.
I love that she
Like,
just casually tore his tongue out too. She was just like,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna hold on to this. Thanks.
yeah, like
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
Mhm.
she
watch
had
TV.
to, because he'll just say something and make it so. That was actually one
Mhm.
of the things I loved about Anansi in this story, is like, whatever he says, it just becomes that. So Fat Charlie is Fat Charlie, even though he's
Yeah.
not fat. And they talk about that like award-winning dog.
The
And one day
goofy
he's
dog.
like, that's a goofy dog. And now this dog doesn't win awards anymore. And everyone's just like, wow,
Yeah.
that is a goofy dog.
Yeah.
I loved that. I love
We
that
should change that,
Anansi.
AK.
I love that Anansi also wears lemon yellow gloves
Yeah.
in this story.
Yeah.
Because what an absurd thing to wear.
But I'm sure he could pull it off. That's the thing. He's like, "Who else but me?"
Who
It's
else
like
Mhm.
but me?
Magneto in X-Men '97. Like, who else but
Oh,
me is gonna give
we have
you
to do a 30
is
Tuesday
is
about, by
gonna give you the
Yeah.
bust the middle part bust
We got
down with
season
a
2
cape?
approved.
the way. With a cape
With the
and a big
cape?
ass M on my chest.
Yeah, like who's giving it to you like me? Nobody. So I gotta do it for you. And I feel like that's also like Anansi's like attitude. Like, you know what? Everyone hates me because I'm that guy.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
he's not thinking, "Oh, I've literally screwed everyone over for my entire life and I think everything is funny." He was like, "No, the reason why they hate me is cuz I'm really that guy. Like, I'm
Yeah.
cool, I'm pretty, and I'm smart, and they hate me." And you're like, "Sir, it is not your gloves. You are awful."
I picture Anansi in this story as like a dark-skinned Cab Calloway.
Yep. Yep.
That's
Exactly.
how I picture him.
Just
Mhm. 'Cause
incorrigible.
even
I
Maeve
could
is
see
like,
that.
he's got the Cab Calloway mustache.
Yes, they
Mm,
do mention his thin
yeah.
mustache. I pictured him with that soft hair kind of slicked back.
Mhm.
And
Because
he
you
has that,
cannot
like,
trust
fine
somebody who
tooth
brushes
comb
their hair.
on him. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just always has that fine tooth comb on him, and he's just like
You can't trust somebody who brushes their hair straight back, but Nancy
yeah.
definitely brushes his hair straight back. So he can put his fedora on.
What did you think of, like, how things kind of, like, ended up for Tiger? Because I feel like he had a hard, tough hand, man.
Tiger got it bad. Tiger got it bad. He never gets the upper hand with Nancy. The
Yeah, he
stories were
didn't deserve
his.
it.
He never gets them
Yeah.
back. At this point, Tiger thinks it's finally his comeuppance, and instead he gets stuck with Rodent Graham Coates
Mhm.
to
I love
annoy
that
him for
part.
all eternity.
It was like Tiger and Minion stuck in a cage. It's like if Scar got stuck in like, trapped in the cage with, like,
With that
one of the
bird, I
hyenas.
got
Yeah.
a lovely bunch of
OMG,
coconuts.
yes. Yes, yes, yes. Or like the 2 minions from Hercules. Like, that's what they remind me
Yeah.
of too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. I love when they do the battle of the cliches, like both Spider both Spider
Yeah.
and Graham
And Graham
Coates
Coates.
and Fat Charlie and Graham Coates. I was like, how many can they bandy back and forth with each other?
I think
Let's
a
talk about
thing that
Maeve Livingston.
Maeve, yes,
Mm.
I loved Maeve. The scene where he kills Maeve, I thought was really brutal.
Yeah, I did not
I
appreciate that
I didn't
I was
expect
at
really
that.
all.
surprised by the brutality of it. It just like didn't really see it coming.
Me neither.
Like I knew he was gonna do something terrible,
Yeah.
but I absolutely did not call beating her to death with a hammer.
No, I thought he
Yeah,
was
and I
just gonna push her behind the thing and lock and like close the door,
Right.
Yeah,
like
but I feel like
passive.
the callous nature of it, like, not just, like, when he's doing it, like, how flippant he is about, like, doing it, but just, like, then he just like stashes her body and he's like,
I guess I'm
what?
moving
Right.
faster,
Yeah.
moving earlier than I planned.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're insane. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I like the
What?
part at the end where he's got the gun and he's just like Graham Coates thought to himself how many perfect cliches there were for men with guns, you know? It was like, oh, he didn't have to make anything up. He just like picked the lines out of out of the ether.
But it shows you he didn't really have it in him to be a killer because he didn't kill Rosie and her mother right away.
No.
Like, so he has done it and he was hoping to
Yeah.
get the chance to do it again, but he couldn't follow through when he got the chance.
Maybe it's different when there's two people.
Maybe
Yeah,
a gun is too easy.
that
Maybe he was
too.
because when he's killing Maeve, he wishes he had a gun because it
Mhm.
would have been
Yeah.
cleaner and easier. But then when he does have a gun, he doesn't follow through. So either he's not as tough as he thought, or he was hoping to be more brutal.
Or I feel like he just kind of gets off on the fact that he's got hostages, you
There's
know?
that too.
I think
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, they're in my there they are in my wine cellar locked up. Nobody's ever gonna know."
I liked how the magical god world and the real world kind of intersected when they were trapped
Mm.
in that cellar. So they
Mhm.
feel tiger prowling,
The veil is
but
thin.
tigers also, yeah, the veil is very thin in there, and there's not really an explanation why, which is fine. But I enjoyed it where Tiger thinks he can sense Rosie. Rosie thinks Rosie's mother can absolutely sense that there's a big cat in that room that Rosie doesn't seem to be aware of at all. And
Mhm.
Tiger's kind of in both places at once. So I liked how the worlds were kind of collapsing into each other a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
I
that as
mean
well.
I mean, this is my first time reading this book, and, like, I'm gonna it's something I'll absolutely read again, and now that I've listened to the audio, like, it's just funny. It's
Mhm.
funny, like, there's just, like and it's not like some things made me, like, laugh out loud, but just, like, throughout the whole thing, I'm just giggling a little bit because I'm like, "Ah, you clever fucker, look at what you did there." There's just so much personality, and everybody feels very, very real. Um, it was
I
exceptional.
did love that Rosie's mother did not believe he was Fat Charlie. Like, she's like, "I'll accept that you're saying it, but I don't actually believe you."
Yeah,
She's such a
yeah.
suspicious woman, and she was right all along.
She
Isn't it crazy that
was.
she doesn't believe it's Fat Charlie and she can see the tiger, whereas Rosie was
Mhm,
duped by both of those things?
mhm.
Hmm.
I think a recurring theme for me, between Charlie and Spider, especially early in the book where they're kind of,
Excuse me.
switching back and forth, is how doing the right thing only matters if you do it at the right time.
Mm,
Hmm.
Because, Spider kind of went into the office and messed things up. Technically, he was kind of doing the right thing
Yeah.
by exposing the whole situation, but now you know what I mean? Now you're making it tough for everyone. So because you did that one thing,
Mhm.
even though you wasn't wrong, man's was stealing, he was
mhm.
untoward, you are correct. But
Mhm.
because of how you did it, you're openly in front of everyone, now he feels threatened. It kicks off all of these like little things. Like even with the girlfriend, it's like technically okay. Like if you like her and you feel like your brother is not really giving her any vim and you wanted to, show her a good time, really show her like, hey baby, like the streets could love you too. You could have just done that. You know what I mean? Would it have
Uh,
been okay? But you're doing the right thing in the wrong way at the
mhm.
wrong time,
And the way he
always.
justifies it too, because
Yes.
in some ways he's kind of right. If Rosie had showed up for lunch and Charlie didn't show up, she'd have questions. And here's Charlie with this strange woman in his house because she spent the night and he was out all night drinking and, women, wine, and song. So he was kind of right. Like, if you didn't show up to lunch with Rosie, she would have been suspicious. So I kind of saved your ass
Mhm.
there. Well, now Rosie's leaning in to kiss you. Well, if you don't, she's gonna have questions, and she's,
Right.
she's gonna
Mhm.
want to know what's going on. So of course I have to make out with her because
Yeah.
otherwise it's gonna
It's
raise
gonna blow up the
questions.
spot. Yeah.
No
Right.
lingering kisses on the cheeks for Spider.
Right. No kisses on the cheeks for Spider. So Spider is who? Okay, who would you fan cast
Uh-oh.
the Spider?
Uh-oh. I knew this was coming.
Who would you fan cast the Spider?
That's tough because I know this is weird. I have a hard time with fan casting because I truly cannot necessarily see someone until they really like embody it and play it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so like when Orlando Jones got cast, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was automatically like, yeah, I could see it. I can absolutely see it. But I probably never would have thought.
I never would have.
Yeah,
You know what? Let's
I have
throw this
such
to
a
the
hard time with
chat
that.
because I feel
Yeah.
like AK is a fan caster.
All right, AK, who would you fan
Yes,
cast?
AK.
I can't think of someone who, because it would have to be somebody who's both like very handsome, but also a little bit goofy
Yes,
Yeah.
has the
to play
ability
Spider.
to kind of come across a little bit, fumbly and mumbly, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit unsure, but also able to switch into that, I guess that
Just like
Urkel versus Stefan
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
exactly.
vibe.
It's a really good
But
example.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like every time I see a Spider, he's just like the way that he's just like kind of lounging like this, Like how in Good Omens, what's the snake guy? Shit. Oh my god, I can't remember his name. The demon. You know how it's just like the way that he walks and the way that he sits and the way his body language
yeah,
expresses that he's
Oh,
yeah.
from Good Omens.
yeah. I don't want to call him a
What's his
snake.
name? He played the doctor.
God, snake.
Yeah, my
It's
brain
not
is
coming to me.
blanking.
It's Crowley.
Yeah, the
Crowley.
guy who plays Crowley. I don't know why he's extremely
Crowley.
famous. His name should definitely be coming
David
to me.
Tennant.
Mhm.
David
Yes,
Tennant, yes.
yes, exactly.
Yes.
So somebody who can just like be embody and become a character like that. But I don't know who I would cast for Spider. Yeah, because it'd have to be debonair, and just like very easy, but definitely able to like access God and goof at the same time.
Yeah.
Have to be someone new. I feel like that's such a star maker of a role.
Mm-hmm.
See, I couldn't picture Lakeith for Spider
It's so cool.
because I think he could get like the silliness and that
Mm.
surreal magical side, but like the debonair,
I
just
don't
like
know. I've
wooing
seen him in some
everyone.
things
Yeah.
where I think that he could pull off the debonair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he does look good in a suit. I feel like he'd be able to. That's actually a very good choice.
My first thought, like I pictured Aldous Hodge, but I can't picture him being goofy.
That yeah, he would nail the debonair, but not the goofy.
Yeah.
What's this
I can't
guy's
picture him
name?
being silly at all.
Hmm.
Hold
I mean,
on.
I guess since we're all on the British actors, what about John Boyega? Or is he too big now to
What
play
is
a
he
role like
in?
that?
I could see him as Fat Charlie.
Yes, I feel like he would nail some of like the in-betweens too of sort of coming to your identity.
Yeah.
But I
Caleb
have not
McLaughlin. How
watched
old
enough
is
of his
Caleb
stuff.
McLaughlin? I feel like he might be too young, no?
Yeah, he might be a little bit too young, but hey, Neil will take 10 years to settle in on a TV project,
That's
so
true.
that's fine.
That is
What's
We
very
got
true.
time.
his name? Is
Yeah,
it
he's only 22. I
Diamond?
feel like he'd be too young for
Like,
Yeah.
Spider right now.
Yeah, give him
like
another like 5, 10 years.
I heard a
Yeah.
younger person, like an older person. Jesus Christ. Is it Jaimin Hunsu?
Oh, yeah.
I could see if he was younger, I could see him being like a Spider.
If he was younger, yeah. He's too old now. Who would you cast as this version of Anansi? It'd have to be somebody kind of old. I picture him short too.
Oh yeah, very short,
Yeah.
very short. Well, because it said when they were dancing with that tourist, his like head came up to her chest. His chest.
I love like hearing about him going to do karaoke like just regular doing karaoke, how he occasionally plays the lottery and only wins enough to just like cover his expenses and his fun and not to bring any attention really. You know, he spends all his time fishing. I loved when Charlie's mother is in the hospital and they're telling him, you know, this is the end. She doesn't have much time. And she wants Anansi to come say goodbye. And he comes and says goodbye and he gives her like another 6 months because she's just so happy. He shows up with a band and, you know, Charlie's so embarrassed. I loved all of the Anansi scenes, even though we never get Anansi. Well, we do get Anansi's perspective when he meets Maeve in the afterlife, because he was in his grave bored and decided he wanted to go dancing.
What about Jay Ellis from Insecure? I'm like scrolling through actors now.
As who?
As Anansi.
Oh, he's too young.
Yeah, I feel like, I would switch. I would say Boyega would be better for like Anansi. Or like someone like a Cuba Gooding that nails just being an unserious person.
Yeah.
You're so unserious, but you take yourself seriously. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oliver Samuels. I love Oliver. I grew up watching Oliver's skits, and I could absolutely see him playing Anansi.
Oh, yeah.
I could kind of see that too, yeah.
You looking at him? You should watch some of his videos, Nikki.
You know, it's so funny. I'm like looking at his thing. No, I haven't. I'll definitely check them out. You know, when you have like on Wikipedia, it's like born children and it like names your children. Under his, it just says has 6 children. I love the privacy.
And he's 75. That's about the right age. It'd have to happen now.
Yeah.
We can't give it 15 more years,
No.
Neil.
Although, you know what they do with these AIs and these characters, because I watched I saw the TV Glow, and what is the actor's name? Hold on, because he was in the other thing that I can't fucking remember.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna show this picture of Oliver real quick because it's like all the way Anansi.
Oh, Justice something. What's his name? Justice Smith. Because they like aged him up and down, and I was just like, oh. But it's possible.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Is this it? Share screen. Is that not Anansi?
You know.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Just give him
throw some yellow lemon gloves on him
and a lime green fedora.
Yeah, because he's very unserious.
Very absolutely.
Unserious. And I have not seen him in so long. Like looking at this picture, I'm like,
I follow him on Instagram, so I see him all the time.
I'm gonna have to go find him on Instagram now.
Yeah. So yeah, Oliver Samuels comes to mind for.
Oh, they put your boo up there.
Who?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, you know I love him.
I haven't really seen him play like anything lighter. Would he be able to capture the lightness, like the very like I'm so ridiculous, but I don't see it side of Anansi? I wonder. But it would be really cool to see that because I know
he's such a good actor.
To get into those roles. Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a good actor that I could. But yeah, I don't know. Now I'm stuck on Oliver because he's. If you ever watch his skits, like, so goofy and over the top, just ridiculous person. And at no point do we see Anansi being like really debonair. He's just charming. Everyone finds him so charming. Whereas Spider, I feel like, comes across as like just sexy and you're drawn.
No, he walks into the room and everybody looks.
Yeah.
Has
that commanding, presence and energy.
Yeah. The type of person who makes you feel like you're the only one in the room when they're talking to you. He's got like that thing.
Even though he's talking to 6 women at the same time.
That's why he could do that, because he's making each and every single one of them feel the same way. So
like
it's pretty much canon he's Jamaican in his
I was gonna say. Yeah, he's he'll treat you like a
The
queen, you
smolder.
and his 5 other girlfriends
Mhm.
and his 2
Mhm.
wives. You'll all be
Yeah.
treated like you're the only one.
No, spider has 8 legs, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
look, see?
Yeah.
Boom. Alright. Well, loved it. It's 3 o'clock.
I loved
Not
it.
it's 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I loved it. I mean, normally I would chill, but the Knicks are playing and it's game.
Oh
So,
yeah. Listen, they've knock on wood, my babies,
mhm,
they've been passing the ball. They've been putting it in the hole, so I'm happy.
that's all
Yeah.
we need them to do.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, yeah, excited for this
Well,
game.
before we go, final thoughts on Anansi Boys?
Um, High reread value, would absolutely read again. I would love to see it come to the screen, but it's also something I'd be super patient for.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, I feel like nothing is going to interrupt my love for Neil Gaiman, just like how I feel about Brandon Sanderson. There you go, AK. And yeah, it's just so much fun. Like any world he does, I want to be a part of it. And I really appreciate the fact that he did tell an Anansi story and he is not afraid to take on these perspectives and try it and then also do them justice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy, the guy who played Padam Payne, I could
Oh,
see him as an Anansi.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though we've seen him play like a villain,
Mhm.
I don't know, I could picture him being
But
silly
you know
enough.
what?
It's
When
that
every time
goofy smile he has.
yeah, every time I see him, like with as Pat and Fane, sometimes I have a hard time taking him seriously because of like the complete dork he was in Love Actually. He's like a porn director, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so like I could see like that spectrum.
Final thoughts, Anastasia?
Yeah, Neil, what a guy. I don't like lots of guys, especially ones. So it's very refreshing to have one that I have liked for years and has not disappointed me yet. Very much looking forward to, the new worlds. I see he has a new comic out.
Mhm.
I have to, check that out because he always has a world that I'm interested in. So
Yeah.
yeah, another great read from him.
Yeah.
I think that, Anansi Boys is, like, top 10 books I've ever read for me. Like, it's like, as far as my favorites, like, it's up there. And if it if and when it gets adapted, I just hope they do a really good job with it, and I hope that it's cast well. I hope that they go to the Caribbean and England and find good
Yes, God.
people.
Mhm.
Um, I think that it would need to be cast with unknowns
Yeah.
so that you're
Yeah.
not distracted by
Mhm.
whatever star is in it. And also, I feel like when there's a star involved, they tend to like write for that star instead of
Yep.
like
Yeah.
creating bringing life to the story itself.
Like I would take a star as a cameo as a minor character.
Yeah. Yeah, something to get you
Yeah.
funding.
Yeah.
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 Um, do you have anything you wanna plug?
Hold on a second. Peter's asking a question.
Oh.
Uh, so he,
In The American Gods, no, he's alive.
yeah.
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 Yeah, he's alive.
Real quick, I just want to say about a
Oh
100
no, am
Years
I
of
frozen?
Solitudes. Yep.
Mhm.
Ugh, happens
uh,
every time.
about 100 Years of Solitude, like
Mhm.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez is one of my
Mhm.
favorite authors of all time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember the first time I started to read 100 Years of Solitude, I was like, whew, okay. And then I came back a couple years later and I was able to finish it. I got my dad to read it. And it was just the thing about that book is that world is so rich. And actually, since they're doing the TV adaptation, they're like hoping to bring a bunch of people, like attract tourism to Aratakata. I forgot,
Yeah.
right? Like what Macondo IRL. But I think the thing that was hard about that book is that you're following the family through so many generations, and everybody's got the
Has
same
the same
name.
name.
It's the same
That's
name.
very
Yeah,
confusing.
my
Oh
my
my god.
experience was absolutely the same in that it took me a very long time to get into it because I was like,
Which one
and
is
that was
this
my
again?
first Marquez, so I really wasn't really hip
That's a
to the
tough
games
one
that
to
he
get
would
into.
play. And I didn't even think in my youth, hey, sensible girl, try another one of his books so you understand the way that he does things. No, I was like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get through it eventually. And
Yeah.
the same thing, one summer I was determined to get through it. I had my notebook, I wrote my notes, I kept up. And I bawled like a baby
Yeah.
when
Can you
I
still hear
finished
me?
that last
We
page.
can
Yeah,
still
I can
hear you,
still hear
yeah.
you.
Okay, I'm gonna just refresh really
I was gonna
quickly, so I'm
say,
gonna
yeah.
Okay,
disappear.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
go ahead, keep going though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I tried that really hard. I think I read a short story of his, and then when I couldn't get through 100 Years of Solitude, or just like I just put it down and I walked away because it was too much. There was too much confusion in my regular life to like persist. But then I read Love in the Time of Cholera, and I was
Oh,
like, oh
yes.
nope, that's one. I have two copies on my bookshelf, and I might get a
What?
third. Yeah, I
Yeah.
because like that's my fave. But then like No One Writes to the Colonel and
Oh,
Chronicles of a Death Foretold and like or the General, sorry,
yeah, no one's
and Of Love and Other Demons. Like, oh, it's just the world is so rich. So yeah, I'm glad we
he
brought him up. I want to do a book of his for this stream. We just don't know yet. I think 100 Years of Solitude might be a bit of a big commitment.
mm.
Um, because if we're gonna
Yeah,
do that,
no,
we're
yeah,
gonna do a
that's
Brandon Sanderson book first.
yeah, that's gonna be if we do 100 Years
Yeah.
of Solitude, we're gonna be Charlie at the whiteboard
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
connections. So
Yeah. So I
definitely
feel
need something that's a little bit easy. Love in the Time of Cholera
loving
though
the
is
That's the first one
and
I read
then
from
yeah.
yeah,
But I
Gabriel
think
Garcia Marquez.
Chronicles of a Death Foretold is a really good, easy one.
it
I
is
haven't read
too
So,
that.
also.
yeah, read
Um
that one.
yeah, also Memories of My Melancholy Horrors I think is
Mm,
really accessible, and it gives you a lot of different, kinds of topic a
yeah,
review.
and I
Me,
think it gives you
I
context.
stan. I love him. I do. I
Yeah,
really do.
same, same, same,
He's
same.
he's on that same level as Neil for me
Yeah.
because I also love magical realism. So
Mhm.
my magical realism big 3 for the men's are the 2 of them and then Murakami. Even though
Ooh.
he does not write women well and he
Mm.
clearly has some patriarchal issues that we know are not getting resolved.
Mm.
He writes a good damn good story. Yeah.
Another two more questions before we go. Are you
Yep.
reading anything interesting right now?
Sorry, go ahead.
Why was
Because yes, always, and now I have to like look in
Yeah.
my. I have to consult my Goodreads so I
I
can tell
listen,
you.
I just put you see, I just pull up my library. And just to say, I don't know if you guys are messing with Jefferton right now from Amazon. I call him Jefferton. I call him whatever I feel like calling him. Um, but there's currently a book sale going on, so till tomorrow,
Oh,
just in
yeah.
case.
Yes, I saw that.
I told Tanya, and I quote, she responded to me, "Don't tempt me, witch." I was like,
I'm here to tempt you.
you
That's
know,
one thing.
Both of you witches
That
bringing
I'm here to
temptation into
tempt
my
you.
life. I'm
Um,
currently reading Lilith, which
mm,
follows Lilith of the Bible as she works her way through history trying to bring light to the goddess Asherah
ooh.
and has to deal with God's wrath and how disappointed she is in mankind and with the subjugation of women. And I'm also
Oh,
reading a book called Dominoes that's about
that's
a
on my list.
woman. Dominoes?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a woman who is about to get married and finds out that her fiance's husband used to own her ancestors,
Yeah.
and she's grappling with that right before their wedding. So those are the two that and obviously I'm listening to Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson because the
mm,
fifth book for Stormlight Archive comes out this December, so I've been
yep,
catching up with
can't
my
wait.
reread for that. So that's what I'm
Dragon's
reading.
Sold
Don't
out in
stone
2
me.
hours.
I've never read a Sanderson.
You know what? Start with Mistborn. Oh, you know what? Or Warbreaker.
Warbreaker?
Or
Okay.
Elantris. Start with Elantris.
Yeah, start with
Elantris.
Elantris.
Okay.
That'll be a good introduction to like the universe because the way of kings, while amazing, we're Standersons.
It's part of
Um,
a big
it's
epic.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
but
and
Yeah.
I like that. I like all
it's hard.
stories written in the same world.
All
So,
right, well, he's got all his stuff in the same universe, so definitely check him out. And his I was gonna go to the convention, but it sold out in 2 hours.
One
oh
hour.
wow.
In 1 hour, like
Oof.
that's
Sold out in 1
the love
hour.
is real.
That's how I know it's good. So I'm just gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and mosey this onto my list.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what
Well, all of
I'm
them.
reading is Daylight Come. That I think you guys would like. It's like a dystopian book about like, hey, what if the sun was too hot
Ooh,
in Jamaica? Like, what would you do?
daylight
At it.
come.
Yeah.
I'm looking on Libby right now.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah, that. And I
Or
also
it was the
got
library.
Viola Davis's Finding Me in the book sale. So I'm going
Mm.
to read that one as well. And I'll be honest, I have like 5 books in rotation. Like I'm always
Always.
reading too many
Yeah.
things. So I also have decolonial like Marxism that I'm going through because I haven't gone through that in my adult years. And The Flowers of Buffoonery, which I'm really enjoying.
Hmm.
Hmm.
A shorter book, but I love it. I love it so far. I'm only like in chapter 4, and I think it's only like 10 chapters.
Hmm.
Okay.
Add it to my list too.
I just saw
Um,
Daylight come pop up on your Goodreads.
uh, I'm fast.
I gotta
Um,
update mine, man. I'm so bad at updating it.
let's see, I'm currently reading one of them is The Mistress of Spices, and it's about
Yes.
this. Yeah, have you read it?
Yes, I
Oh,
love that book.
I'm so excited. I got it at a bookstore when last time Tanya and I played D&D. So I'm reading that. I'm reading Blood by Jeff Wheeler. We did one of his books for a different book club. We did Stormglass, and that's all stuff that happens within the same universe. And then I've
Mm.
got a couple short story things going on because I'm also kind of listening to.
Yeah, I got The Black Girl Survives in this one, and I got
Mhm.
Out There Screaming, which are both horror story anthologies.
Ooh,
And I also got
very
an
good.
anthology that just came out last month called Weird Black Girls, but I haven't started reading it yet. But
Mm,
those are the next ones in my TBR, my next like short
yeah.
stories
I know. I'm looking at
collections in my
the other one
TBR.
I'm reading is one I mentioned before, the Ava May one, The Fantastically Twisted. Like
Mm,
basically, like let's do these fairy tales, let's make them modern and make them just terrifying like the fables used to
I
be.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend.
We
Um
don't have a 30 Tuesday scheduled for June,
hold
so we need to work on that. We
on. Let
also
me
need
let me
to
consult the list. We'll throw it to the crowd.
okay.
You all get to pick.
Um we also don't have a book club pick for July, so we're
Um
behind on that.
well, we got a lot of shit going on.
What else do we have coming up? We have D&D again, June
Yep.
2nd. We're playing D&D at uh 2 p.m. this time, right?
Mhm.
At 2
Yeah.
p.m.
Yeah, I believe so.
No, at
No,
noon.
12. That one is at 12.
Noon. Yeah. So we're playing D&D at Dungeons and Draft House. I'll drop the link because we've been
Mhm.
playing for the last few months with this
Yeah,
doing one shots.
how did I miss that? I gotta tune in for that.
Well, we go in person for this one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
But we've been
cool.
thinking about doing because we're both pretty new to it. I started playing last year. Nikki just started playing this year.
Mhm,
And we found this Dungeons and Draft House at the Alamo Draft House Theaters.
mhm,
Once a month
yeah,
they hold it. It's hosted by Dungeon in a Box. And so they do like a one shot D&D for like 4 hours, and it's really
that's
really fun.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun. You just do the one shot adventure, and the people have all been really nice. So we're doing that June 2nd. That's at noon. We're table 4 as always because Bridge 4 reference Brandon Sanderson. Go ahead, aka add that to the big check that off on your bingo card. Um that's June 2nd at noon. Um
Okay.
what else do we have?
I think that's it. I mean, well, no, that's not true because House of the Dragon is coming back, so
House
Ooh,
of the
yeah.
we'll
Dragon is
be
coming
back
back, so
every
we'll be
week. And
weekly.
yeah, and when interviews are
Oh, I know what our next 30 Tuesday is. X-Men 97.
oh, is that what
Mm.
we're doing next?
Yes.
Okay.
Anastasia, would you want to join us for that?
Oh,
It'll
yeah.
be
I
a Tuesday
listen.
night at 9. We'll just pick one.
I'm with it. Yeah, you just shoot me that calendar invite.
All right.
I'm down.
Yeah,
Like I said, the writing,
Oh my God.
and I haven't
don't spoil
finished
because I
because
haven't
I
finished.
know.
I've only
Yeah,
seen
no,
like
I
three
haven't
It's just
finished.
episodes.
I
Same. So
finished.
I'm about to binge everything this weekend. Well, it's gonna be today. I'm gonna binge everything to catch up, and I cannot wait because I know I'm gonna be devastated in the best possible way.
Hmm.
Lewis was interested in joining us, Nikki, so I'll check his
Yeah,
calendar too to find
yeah.
out a
Let's
good
see what
Tuesday
he's
for
got.
him.
Um, can we
Um,
do well, we can ask our audience. Should we do Parable of the Sower since I have the hard copy now?
we didn't do that. Oh no, we did
No.
Xenogenesis.
But then I also think like because but I was just like, oh, what we've done her, but we just did 2 Neil Gaiman books, like, and we
Yeah,
did all
and we've
3.
done
We did all
5.
3 of
We've done
NK
5
Jemisin.
NK Jemisin books.
Exactly.
And
All
this
right.
was basically started off as like an NK Jemisin stan club.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Like,
Should we do ask you guys, should we do a Brandon Sanderson book?
like Warbreaker?
Like Warbreaker or Elantris or any of the one-shots?
Let's do Elantris.
Let's do Elantris. Okay.
Especially since we just told Anastasia to read it.
Yeah, let's do Elantris then. Yeah.
Okay, for the next one.
Done.
Okay. So
all right.
We're gonna work on a date for
July.
We're gonna work on a date for June 30 Tuesday.
Yeah.
We have to consult people's schedules, but that'll be a Tuesday at 9, some point in June, maybe like the 18th or 25th, perhaps, for X-Men 97. And then our July book club will be Elantris. We'll pick a Sunday for that. And once we have dates, Nikki will make a flyer and I'll post it and I'll send you a calendar invite.
Yes, please.
So now there's pressure on you.
Do you like how
no pressure at all.
I
feel like the one thing that would motivate me to read is knowing that I get to talk about it with someone. I think so much of my reading is solitary and I don't get to, because again, I always have too many books in rotation.
Yeah, I understand.
The opportunity to talk about it is always one that I'm going to take.
All right, so Elantris for July.
Woohoo! I got my way finally. Do you love how we like pretended where this was a democracy and then we just told everybody what books we were reading anyway? That's how it works in our world.
Yeah, pretty much. Big Leo energy. Pretend we want your opinion, but we've already made up our minds.
Oh, that's really it. You've seen the process at work. That's the process.
I think I asked, but I forgot. Anastasia, do you have anything you want to promote?
No, just journal.
Okay.
Take out the journal and write in the journal.
Nikki's very good about journaling.
Yeah, the journal is not mad at you. If you miss a week, the journal is not mad at you. It's okay. Pick it back up. It's all right.
There's this article that just came out. I guess like schools are finally reconsidering cursive because they're talking about how the act of handwriting is just so much better for learning.
Imagine.
I took the entire bar exam handwritten because there's no way that I can retain information if I type.
Yeah, you have to
and they're like talking about people like typing notes and blah blah blah. Like no, handwriting. And so that's why I journal by hand. I've got notebooks and notebooks and notebooks from I don't know what happened to my old ones, but these go back to 2016.
All right, well, I guess that's it then for us. Thank you for joining and chatting with us.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm looking forward to talking X-Men 97 with you next, and I like probably in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that means I need to watch it.
Yeah. I have
right.
not. I didn't text with Lewis about the finale yet, but we've been texting about it. So
wait, so it's in June?
June. I'm gonna find out what.
Yeah, that'll be after the NBA finals.
Okay.
I'll have more space in my life.
Yeah, I think he's the busiest out of us. So
yeah,
I'll find out what Tuesday he's works for him. Also, we may bring trivia back to Brooklyn, so keep your eyes and ears open for trivia. And that's it. My child is now telling me that food is yummy, so I guess that's a hint that he wants to eat.
Yes. Yeah.
So thanks again.
Thank you,
Don't go anywhere, Anastasia. Don't hang up. I'm going to end the stream.
Bye,
guys. Bye.
Bye.
To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, 1,000 Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as 1,000 Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, 1,000 Eyes in One. If you're interested in our Speculative Fiction Book Club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.